So far we've talked about what society's standard is for you as a man, what tension is, what the communication is in society, how people interact with each other, what this blanket of tension that affects society. What we're going to talk about now is women. We're going to talk about women themselves and how to understand women, because you can't truly understand society, and we can't ever get to the point of getting you success without actually understanding women and understanding women in depth. So the next 3 videos, including this one, are going to be dedicated to understanding what it is that women want, female psychology, and how that relates to you as a man. Okay, so the first thing that you have to understand is the woman's frame of reference, right? What is her frame? When you meet a woman, and we're talking about an attractive woman generally, again, this applies to pretty much all women, give or take, but I think we're going to refer right now to attractive women because ultimately the goal of this is to, add the attractive woman to your life, add attractive women to your life, all right? So what is the woman's frame? What is a woman's frame of reference? Well, a woman perceives value through communication. A woman perceives value. She perceives true value through communication. And when I say value, I'm referring to sexual value, not value that society talks about. And again, we're going to get into that in the next video. But a woman's inner being sees value as communication, right? And I'm not going to talk about caveman days, how we evolved and shit, because I'm not a fucking expert on that. I studied psychology and taught psychology for a year, but I'm not an expert in evolution, human evolutionary psychology. So we're not going to get into that. But women, and I know this because, again, meeting tons of women and seeing what they value and writing about it for hours and studying this, they perceive the value of a man through his ability to communicate. I mean, most relationships on the man's part fail because he doesn't communicate with his woman. He could have the best job. He could have an amazing job. But if he doesn't fucking communicate, it leads to cheating. It leads to all kinds of problems, right? And when there's kids, it's worse because the lack of communication. The recent relationships that I've had have been amazing because I communicated. At the beginning, they weren't. I was a little kid trying to just get laid and I didn't communicate. And again, there's a bunch more things going on there. A bunch more things. I was in deep levels of scarcity and all kinds of stuff. But communication was, the biggest issue that I had. But women value communication. And how do you communicate with a woman? What they value in this communication, you can kind of bring it into 2 layers. Emotion and connection. And that's what the Fuckboy frame is about. Emotion, what's your ability to make her feel emotions? What is your ability to make the woman feel positive emotions? Not even positive emotions, but emotions as a whole. What is your ability to make the woman feel that spark, those emotions? I just actually got a text yesterday from one of my girls, a girl that I've been seeing for quite a long time. She used to be my girlfriend, and she's, a girl that I really, really, really love a lot. And she texted me, she was like, it doesn't feel like when we first met each other. I felt, she didn't word it like this, like the emotions, but she worded it, and she was like, I felt like I felt butterflies all the time. I felt new. I felt like what was going to happen next. I don't feel that anymore. The reason why is because what she valued was the emotions. She valued that emotional connection, not just an emotional connection that's a logical emotional connection, like I like you, you like me, no, but the actual feelings inside, right? That is what attracts women. That is what makes women see you as having value. Right? The second thing is connection. Now, connection is something that takes time to build. This is more of a thing about, over time, how the girl gets to know you and she feels that you guys are kind of intertwined. Especially sexually, you can really convey this if you know what you're doing sexually, and we're going to get into that later. But women want to feel the emotions. They want to feel that value from you. That is where the value is at. A guy who can make a woman feel the emotions, and this is why, when I go out and a guy tries to talk to a girl that I'm dating, or a girl that I've been talking to all night, he doesn't have a chance. The reason why is because when I talk to girls, I make her feel fucking emotions. Every fucking time. I make her feel those emotions, like, oh my God, why did this guy come up to me? Why is this guy talking to me? Why do I feel this way when he comes up to me? Right? The whole narrative, the whole story. That's what it is. It's the emotions, okay? Now, what's interesting about attractive women, I call it the attractive woman paradox, okay? There's a couple principles you need to understand about attractive women and how they think, and if you're taking notes, you're going to want to write these down. The first thing is that the attractive woman paradox is that her frame is that every man needs her. So every attractive woman genuinely believes that every man needs her. And some women will verbalize this more than others. Some women will talk about this more than others. Some women will be very open and honest about this, about their belief system. Like, like I'm the shit, I'm fucking hot. Generally though, I find that the more attractive a woman gets as far as even personality, like these higher quality women, the less they brag about it, but the more they still believe it. So the more they have this entitlement, this ultimate entitlement that every man needs her. Like they genuinely believe, when a guy comes up, like even if you asked her for the fucking time, if you were in a club, she believes that you want to fuck her because she's attractive. And she's been told since she was a young kid, a little kid, like you're the girl, you're the prize. And again, there's drawbacks to this. So I'm not doing some like men's rights, fuck the women, they have a little privilege. No. Oh, women struggle, and we're going to get into that here. They struggle with different things socially. But as far as when it comes to the dating food chain, women believe that they are the prize. They are the buyers. They're the ones with the choice, right? So they have the ultimate entitlement. They have the highest entitlement. But at the same time, part of the attractive woman paradox, again, write this part down, is that women also believe that they have to fulfill a goddess role, which is a problem. They believe they have to fulfill these standards. Like a lot of the girls that I date, like they won't even go out without doing a 2-hour preparation because they have to fulfill the standard. Now, some people will argue that the standard is to impress men. I don't believe that. I actually think the standard is to impress society as a whole. And the standard potentially has been set by men through, years of just how society evolved. But I'm not going to get into that. This is not a psychology course or a human evolution course. But generally, women have to fulfill this goddess role. They have to fulfill this, I am the beautiful, I never fart, I never shit, I never do any of this kind of role. They have to fulfill this. And it's the biggest paradox because at the same time, even though they're the most entitled, they believe, I deserve men, I deserve the attractive man, or men want me. Like, if a guy lets me take a drink from him, like if a guy buys me a drink, he's fucking lucky. That's the woman's frame, the hot girl's frame. But you as a man, it's so funny because the paradox is that she wants to be a goddess, technically for you. She wants to be a goddess and look like the beautiful woman. She has to fulfill that role. So even though she believes she has the role already, she's the, everyone wants me, which everyone pretty much does. She also has to fulfill that role. She has to fulfill the role, I have to look a certain way. I have to look this good. I have to do this kind of thing. I have to fit into this role. That's why hot girls are, at one point, it's like, as a man, when you get to this level, it's like, let's imagine there's a scale from like 0 to 10, okay? As a man, if you're from 0 to 6, girls still see themselves as, every man wants me and shit. But once you hit to a 7 to 10, when you can unlock girls' emotions, and you no longer have to prove yourself, and you no longer have to be in that provider frame like we talked about in the first section, things begin to switch, and you begin to see more of how the women have to fulfill this role when they meet you. Women try to fulfill the role even more. Because if when you go up to a girl and she feels, this guy doesn't see me in this role anymore. This guy genuinely actually doesn't see me as the woman that he has to win. I'm entitled, but he's not recognizing that entitlement. He actually doesn't give a shit. They now have to express those emotions, those feminine emotions, to fulfill that goddess role. They have to express it more, right? Because there's a void. You're not giving them the validation. And we're going to get into all of this and what all this shit means later. Right? But the second thing is, what is the woman's viewpoint? So that's kind of the frame that the woman's coming from. But what is the viewpoint? What does the woman experience? What is her worldview? Because it's important that when you go out and approach women, you also understand where they're coming from. Now, when you're out and you're taking action, or you go out and do the exercises and you apply these things, you're not going to be thinking of this in your head. Of course not, right? But you want to have an understanding and a context behind why certain things are happening when you're out. Okay. Now, the woman's viewpoint is she's constantly measuring her own value based on the feedback that she's getting from other guys and her friends, from guys and her friends. More importantly, her friends, actually. A lot of people think that it is from guys. A lot of people think, guys are the ones that are deciding what the girl thinks of herself. No, not necessarily. A lot of girls pretty much don't give a shit what some random fucker thinks. Mostly, it's actually their friends' validation. And they're constantly bouncing validation off of each other. It's like, what does my friend think about this? What does my friend think about that? You see it on the Instagram posts, like the way they post on Instagram, the pictures of hot girls, like hot girl, hot girl, hot girl. Why? Because they're looking for the validation from their friends, because they're measuring their value based off of what their friends think about them. What happens though, if you're a guy who is attractive, you also become significant in her mind as far as what you think about her. So initially it's just her friends, right? It's her friends because she cares about what her friends think. Some random guy who comes up to her in a club and is like, excuse me, do you have the time? Or hey, like some guys will come up and be like, hey, do you know any good after hour spots? Things like that, right? It's kind of like, those little gimmicky lines or guys that are not very attractive. The girls don't give a shit what the guy thinks about them because in her mind, this guy is one of those guys that also needs my fucking approval. Because he should buy me a drink and he'd get lucky if I let him buy me a drink. But once you hit that guy who's, the male 7 and up, I'm going to put numbers on it, 8 and up, now you're significant in her mind. And now it's important that she proves herself to you so that she can fulfill that role. Again, because if she's not getting the validation from you, she's measuring her value based off the feedback you give her as an attractive man. How do I know this? It's my reality. This is my reality. This is what happens when I go out and meet girls. Right? They're constantly measuring their attractiveness or their value as a woman based off of feedback from others. Whether this is good or bad, I would say it's actually pretty bad. And if I had a daughter, I would teach her not to do this, to get it from within. You don't need to base your value off others. And I have met girls like this, and I must say, my friend, they are amazing to date and be around. They know they're fucking attractive and they don't base their value off what anyone does. Even me. It's pretty fucking amazing. I mean, they care about what people think. Of course, even I care about what people think. If I go out to a club and everyone's like, your outfit's disgusting, I'm probably going to be like, oh shit, I mean, people don't like this, and I guess people say it's ugly. Maybe I'll change my outfit. But I generally don't see my value as based on what other people think, right? But a lot of girls don't hit this point. Even hot girls. Now again, there's a upper tier of girls that really have worked on themselves and are so fucking confident. And these are the kind of girls that I like to date and be around. These girls that genuinely don't seek validation from you. They seek, approval in a way, again, because it's kind of the dating dynamic to an extent. You can't get out of that completely, but they're not really seeking approval. Those are the kind of girls that I like being around. But generally, to get back on point here, hot women, they base their value off of the feedback they get from people around them, right? And we're going to get into how you can use this as a man to actually get success and unlock and tap into the girl's emotions, right? They base their value based on the feedback they get from people that are significant to them. And what's funny is that they're dressing up and performing for this role all the time. Like, girls are performing essentially for this role. Like, there's a clear difference between a girl behind closed doors that is just chilling out, looking like shit. Again, the same way you would. Girls look like shit too. Than a girl that is out there, dressed up, looking beautiful, that scares cool guys in the club. There's a big difference, right? Those two girls are very different. It's the same girl, but they're very, very different. She's fulfilling a certain role. She's performing a certain role. Again, you as a man, you also do this. But you don't do it through looks. You do it through, let me provide value. Let me hustle. And maybe you're dying inside. Maybe you're fucking dying inside. You don't even want to do that. But that's the role you have to fulfill. You have to fulfill that fucking role so you make it happen. Same thing with women. But they do it through looks. They do it through, proving themselves through, I don't know, whatever the fuck it is. Dressing up, putting on lots of makeup. All this stuff is fine. I love it. I love when women look fucking cute. I'm not saying this is bad. I'm just breaking it down. This is what it is. This is the dynamic, right? And what happens is, because of this, feminine energy, I wouldn't say because of it necessarily, but as a part of this, feminine energy is inherently reactive. So feminine energy reacts to the masculine. Feminine energy reacts to things around it. So feminine energy. Now, there's some women that, again, have more masculine energy. And those are generally the girls that don't actually try to prove themselves, or even a lot of times even dress up and try to look amazing. Generally, more feminine girls are the ones that are more reactive. And this is beautiful. They're more reactive to the environment. They're more reactive to what other people think about them. Their emotions fluctuate more, right? Because, again, they have to fulfill that feminine goddess role. The feminine is reactive. And when you learn how to tap into this feminine, that's when you're going to get success. That's when you are going to unlock her emotions. Okay? Because you have to learn that, women want to fulfill the role, but they only want to do it for an attractive guy. They only care when it's an attractive man. We're going to get into all this later on how to do it, how to actually be the attractive man. But I want you to understand this is the dynamic. This is the psychology behind what women want, what women do, how women think. Okay? So you go out and you approach, not getting success, or you go out and you have a girl we want to date and she doesn't take you seriously, or you've gone on a few dates and she's using you for your money and shit. Maybe she just doesn't think that you are the kind of guy that she needs to fulfill that role for. Or maybe she's doing it just because she wants to get the value from you, the provider value. But when you're actually experiencing feminine emotions through a girl, when you're actually reaching her real feminine energy, that is when the girl begins to prove herself to you. That is when the girl begins to react to you. And that is when you begin to see success. So that's kind of the basic understanding of the female mindset. What we're going to crack into now is a bit of what women want in a man, and understanding, maybe we'll get into the surface of how you can begin to cultivate that in yourself. So let's get into what women want out of a man.